You guys into prairies at all?
Yeah.
Oh. Enjoy the walk up. There's a lot of good stuff here.
All right.
Well, if you look out across the landscape here, you can see quite a few farms and rural homes. And according to our surveys, the majority of those have cats associated with them. All of those cats use either the farm or the rural home as their sort of home base, you might say. But from there, they range out to go hunting, to go find mates. So most of the female cats tend to stay closer to home in that they don't range quite as far. So looking in the background here, any female cats associated with these two farms in the foreground would certainly include most of the area in the foreground here within their home range. Male cats range farther afield, especially in seeking mates, so that male cats will fan out and actually go quite a distance. So looking at that landscape, probably a male cat associated with these farms in the foreground, when out looking for mates, would incorporate into its home range even the more distant farms here. So, you know, a male cat can easily travel a mile or more within a home range in order to find mates. Looking across this landscape, however, it's a good illustration that most of the rural countryside in Wisconsin is, of course, dotted with farms and rural homes. And since the majority of them have cats, it means when you look across the rural landscape in Wisconsin, there are actually relatively few areas, especially in south central Wisconsin, that are so far away from a farm or a rural home that no cat basically hunts there.
Could you show us some, I'd like to get some close-ups of some of the equipment. Would it be possible for you to sort of just pull out some of it and demonstrate how it works? Like the receiver or...
Okay. The territoriality of some species to our advantage in wildlife management. For example, a few years ago, one of my graduate students who was from Iceland was working on ravens. Ravens in Iceland have increased tremendously in numbers, largely because they're being so well fed by waste products from fish processing plants and from landfills, ravens being scavengers. Well, ravens are also predators, and in Iceland, many of the farmers make a substantial portion of their annual income from harvesting the down from eider ducks, which is an incredibly valuable commodity on the international market. A true eider down comforter is an heirloom that you would pass down through generations. The problem is, with this increased number of ravens, ravens like to eat eider duck eggs. And once a raven has gone into the eider duck nest and pecked the eggs and gotten yolk all over the down, it becomes worthless. So my student Kristen was looking at how the Icelandic farmers normally dealt with this situation, and it was the sort of typical approach. They shot the local ravens, they trapped them, they poisoned them, they tried to do everything they could to keep ravens away from their eider duck colony. However, what they did ended up being counterproductive. Usually the first ravens that fell victim to their persecution was the local territorial pair. That pair of ravens essentially kept all other ravens out of the area. So basically the damage that was being done to your eider duck colony was the damage that two ravens could do. Once you remove those territorial birds, especially early in the spring, you open that area up to an influx of young ravens that don't yet have territories, and instead of two ravens to deal with, you now have dozens or hundreds of ravens to deal with. So Kristen's proposal, which was kind of interesting, was to teach the local territorial pair of ravens that eider duck eggs were yucky. And we did that by going into the eider duck colony just before the eiders laid their eggs, and we salted the colony with eggs that we had treated with a very strong emetic that made the ravens regurgitate. So that local territorial pair, they came in, thought this was a smorgasbord. Here were all these eggs with no eiders to chase them away. They ate them, and within a few minutes, they were being sick. So they were off eider duck eggs for the remainder of the eider duck nesting season. So it worked out to use the territorial pair to keep other ravens away, but teach those territorial ravens not to go after the eider duck eggs.
But that wouldn't work with domestic cats.
No, unfortunately, because as I said, they do not defend exclusive territories. So in that situation, any situation that you see on the landscape in Wisconsin, any particular area could be occupied by dozens to hundreds of cats in some situations.
Great.